the Musical Rutherfords, Stephen Rutherford and Vernal Francis Rutherford Jr. Vernal Francis Rutherford and Carmel Elise Elizabeth Hyler were married at St. Agnes Church in New Providence, Bahamas on the 26th of January, 1951. The couple had 4 children: Jeremy, born on the 12th of January, 1955, Stephen, born on the 23rd of December, 1957, Jennifer, the only girl, born on the 23rd of August, 1959, all of whom were born in New Providence, Bahamas, and the last child, Vernal Francis Jr., born in Sussex, England, on the 6th of November, 1961. The family came back to the Bahamas 2 years after the birth of Vernal Francis Jr., and all of the children received their schooling in the Bahamas. After Vernal Sr. and Carmel got divorced, Carmel and the children moved back into her father's home on the top of Nassau Street Hill. It was in the large, sprawling yard of their grandfather that the music bug infected the Rutherford brothers. The brothers, along with the numerous cousins who were always playing in the yard, began making all of their instruments from items they found around the yard. Cutting the body of the guitar from plywood, the boys added the strings from fishing line, and the tuning pegs were made from the keys used to open corned beef cans. The drums were made by using an old tin can that had been cut open, with the drum skin made from a piece of plastic held in place by a rubber band made by cutting an old bicycle tire into pieces. An old upright piano owned by their grandfather was used to tune the instruments. Jeremy, or Jerry, and Stephen, or Steve, taught themselves to play the guitar by ear, while Francis started on the drums. The brothers soon became very proficient with their homemade instruments, and when Stephen was only 16 years old, the renowned Bahamian singer Smokey 007 came to the family homestead to offer him a job. He paid Stephen $50 to play the guitar for one night at the Garfunkel Auditorium, located on Madeira Street in New Providence. Later that same year, Vernal Jr., called by his middle name Francis, was paid $75 for a one-night job to play the drums for a Haitian band at the same venue Stephen had played at. This was the first professional jobs as musicians for both boys. A year later, in 1974, Jerry and Steve got together and bought Francis his first factory-made drum set. And with Francis on the drums and Jerry and Steve on the guitars, the Rutherford 3 Band was born. The band stayed together for another year and a half before Jerry eventually lost his interest in music. Steve and Francis, however, continued to develop and hone their musical skills. Stephen continued to play odd jobs with Smokey 007, as well as other well-established Bahamian entertainers, such as Blind Blake, Fred Ferguson, and Berkeley Van Bird. He performed in a number of places, including the Nassau International Airport, Lyford Key, and Dirty Dick's, a well-known nightclub on Bay Street, as well as most of the hotels on the island. He worked for the Ministry of Tourism, performing in such places as New York, Chicago, Los Angeles, Florida in the United States of America, and in a number of Bahamian islands. Continuing to develop his musical abilities, Stephen started playing the bass and rhythm guitars as well as the keyboards and became a lead singer. In 2007, Stephen, along with Deval Roker, now deceased, and Mally Grant, formed his own group, the Turquoise Sing and Dance Group. Francis, in the meantime, continued to earn money playing drums with various groups. During this time, he began learning to play the trumpet while still in high school and started teaching himself to play the piano entirely by ear, putting together unusual combinations of notes to create his own set of unique musical chords and sounds. Using the professional name Frankie Victory, Francis began playing with such notable Bahamian groups as High Voltage, who later became Bahamen, Ambassa, Sly Roker, The Falcons, Sweet Ecstasies, Soulful Groovers, Brylanders, Pat Roll, Fred Ferguson, and Ronnie Butler, known as the godfather of Bahamian music. Francis learned to play the bass guitar and eventually began turning his focus towards becoming an accomplished singer. He also began writing, recording, and producing his own music. After performing throughout the Bahamas, the United States of America, and Europe, Francis moved to Japan in 1988, where he lived and performed until 1991. On returning to the Bahamas, in addition to working with various musicians and groups, Francis has formed his own group, Dream Quest, and performs as a solo artist in a number of different venues and at private functions in the Bahamas as well as in the United States. Over their careers, the brothers expanded their talents to more than simply being performers and entertainers. In 1999, Stephen traveled to Ohio, United States of America, to attend a sound engineering workshop, and today has become a trained sound engineer. He designs and installs sound systems and studios for many organizations and professional musicians. Like his brother, he is also a songwriter, producer, and a recording artist. Francis is a trained piano tuner, having apprenticed under and worked with Bert Cambridge, one of the Bahamas' best musicians and greatest piano tuners, until Bert's retirement as the piano tuner at Compass Point. Francis eventually took over Bert's position at Compass Point, the Bahamas recording studio, famed for having recorded international stars such as James Brown, Grace Jones, Ringo Starr, and Kool and the Gang. Francis is also a trained audio engineer. Both brothers have their own personal recording studios and equipment in their homes. While each brother's career has mirrored the other in many aspects, Stephen's style of music is dance and karaoke, while Francis is dinner and easy listening.
Unforgettable, that's what you are. Unforgettable, though near or far.
Some of Stephen's original songs include The Bimini Boyo with Berkeley Van Berg, Pig Feet South, and Me and She, his personal favorite and biggest hit. Francis has written and recorded original hits such as Linda's House, This Dance is Sweet, and Long and Sandy Beach. His biggest hits were Peace and Love and I'm No Stranger, his personal favorite, produced with the assistance of Grace Jones and Mick Jagger of the Rolling Stones. Stephen and Francis Rutherford, two brothers whose careers started in the yard of Prince Albert Hyler, their paternal grandfather, who earned their first paychecks as musicians at the Garfunkel Auditorium. Both of whom had very little music training other than for a few years while in school. Both self-trained and very accomplished musicians. Both producers and songwriters, are fourth-generation descendants of George and Clotilda Hyler from the Delaport area of New Providence, stemming from the Prince Albert branch of the family tree. At the time of the production of this clip, Steve Rutherford and Vernal Francis Frankie Victory Rutherford Jr. are still performing live at various venues throughout New Providence. For more information about the Hyler family, visit the Hyler family website at www.hylerbahamas.com.
Thank you.